Mr. President, today before the Senate is the question of whether we will continue to have a free and open access to the internet in the United States of America. Every day, millions of Americans log on. They rely on the internet to help their child with his or her homework assignment, help a father to video call his mother, who may live 3 states away, help a small businesswoman to make a sale to a customer halfway across the world. And currently, the people who use the internet in the United States, and others like them, are free to enjoy the internet as they wish. When you log on this morning, you have the same access to the internet as every other American. There's no fear that some internet provider is going to step in and say, wait a minute, we're going to slow down your service until you pay us more money, or limit your access to certain apps and information based on whether you pay an additional fee. What a contrast that is to things like cable television. What package did you buy? How many channels are in there? How much access do you have? Are you going to pay the bill again next month? It's quite a bit different, isn't it, than our access to the internet. Well, currently, users around the country are enjoying a free access to an open and neutral internet. But that's all about to change. It's about to change because this new president and his new head of the Federal Communications Commission believes that our access to the internet should be for sale. In fact, this administration thinks everything ought to be for sale. Public lands, our privacy, and in this case, our pathway to information, unfettered pathway to information. So thanks to the leadership of Ed Markey of Massachusetts and many of my colleagues, we come today to discuss this fundamental issue. This is a rare day in the United States Senate. We're actually discussing an issue of substance on the floor. I welcome the visitors for this historic moment. But we are preparing to vote tomorrow on whether or not the decision of the Trump administration's Federal Communications Commission, which ends net neutrality, is going to succeed or fail. Luckily, we were joined by at least one Republican, I didn't look at the final roll call, to move us forward in this debate. All the Democrats and at least one Republican, and we prevailed. Tomorrow, we hope to do the same, and we hope it'll be done on a bipartisan basis as well. Follow this debate because my guess is it's going to impact you and your life. The Trump administration and the Federal Communications Commission, if they have their way, are going to change our access to the internet. Every single family, every single business, every single doctor, the list goes on. In December, they voted the FCC to put the needs of companies ahead of consumers and to undo net neutrality in the United States. This great party on the other side of the aisle that talks about freedom, we want Americans to have freedom, want to take away our freedom for access to the internet. Why? So somebody can buy parts of it and sell them back to us. Under their new plan, the FCC would allow companies to freely block or slow down any American's access to websites based on the company's financial interest, and would allow paid prioritization practices, which create internet fast lanes and slow lanes based on who can afford to pay more for the service. What a change from what we have today. Everyone has a favorite website they visit every day. I race in here in the morning and get back to the newspapers in Illinois, for example, to see what's going on in my home state. Well, what if one day you typed in the address of that newspaper and nothing popped up? Or you were able to visit it, but it took twice as long to download it. Remember those days when you used to deal with dial-up? Some of the young people in the chamber are probably scratching their head. What is dial-up all about? Well, those days did exist, and it was a much different world of the internet, which we could return to because of this FCC decision. This could be the reality under the Trump administration's Federal Communications Commission. For internet providers, this means they could discriminate against specific content on the internet and be free to do so in the name of competition. For consumers, it means less service, higher cost. And for entrepreneurs and small businesses, there's also a risk. I had a meeting this morning with the realtors of Illinois. There were about 20 of them gathered in a hallway. I was in a committee hearing. And they said, the first item on our agenda is net neutrality. I said, realtors, net neutrality? Explain. Well, people are now looking over their homes on the internet. Prospective purchases of homes do video tours of all of these different homes. We want our customers to have access to the internet so they can go shopping for their next home. We think it's good for American business. So do I, but not the Federal Communications Commission. They disagree. The internet has given the businesses not only access to customers, but a global reach and ability to compete with companies large and small. Success isn't determined on how rich your business is, it's how good your product is. If our country wants to grow its economy and continue to lead the world in innovation, we cannot allow the internet to become a place where businesses impose a pay-to-play scenario. I can't understand how the other party, this party of individualism and freedom, wants to take this freedom away from the American people. If the FCC's harmful new plan is allowed to take effect, consumers, businesses, and hardworking families will be hurt. It's no wonder public support for net neutrality is overwhelming. America gets it. The Federal Communications Commission and the President may not, but America understands this. All over the country, students, teachers, businesses, individuals, families are all making their voices heard, and I encourage them to continue to do so. We need more Republicans to stand up for your freedom. We need more Republican senators to join us in what should be a strong bipartisan effort. The FCC has announced that its radical plan to end net neutrality will take effect next month, unless Congress stops it. We're starting today with this vote in the Senate. We'll finish it tomorrow. And then, if we're successful, it goes across the rotunda to the House. If they do nothing, your right to the internet is going to be destroyed. Today, every senator will have the chance to tell their constituents exactly where they stood on this issue of personal freedom, whether content on the internet should be treated equally and consumer access be a matter of how much you can pay. I think the answer is obvious. So do the overwhelming majority of Americans. Would the Republican Party please join us in a bipartisan effort to stand up for something that Americans across the board support? I urge my colleagues to support the concept of net neutrality and the CRA resolution before the Senate. Mr. President, I yield the floor.